Coming up on Lockdown Brewers, it's Mailbag Monday, getting to the always entertaining fan interaction with some questions. Also, we're going to talk about an extension of one of the key brewers. Stay with us. This is Lockdown Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back, Cheesers, to Lockdown Brewers, brought to you by the Lockdown Podcast Network, talking about your favorite teams every day. I am Vinny Rottino. You can follow me on Twitter at Vinny Rottino. Also, check me out on the pre- and post-game shows during the season for Valley Sports Wisconsin. Also joining me, as always, is future big league broadcaster Dom Cotroneo. Make sure you follow him at Dom_Cotroneo. Also, make sure you follow at Lockdown Brewers on Twitter and subscribe to Lockdown Brewers Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And thanks for making Lockdown Brewers your first listen every day. We post episodes daily, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and we are free and available on all platforms. We are coming to you plausibly live for this show. Glad to be here. Glad you're with us, Dom. It's Mailbag Monday. Always love the Mailbag Monday. I love the fan interaction. Not a ton of questions to get to, but we'll get into some interesting dialogue and interesting scenarios about our beloved crew. And almost forgot, if you're in the market to buy or sell a home, my lovely wife Maggie can certainly help. So hit her up on the phone application that's called Instagram. She's on there, so go ahead and check it out. But Dom, how's it going? How was your Christmas?
It was great. I come to you plausibly live from the Valley of the Sun. I am in Phoenix, my childhood home, hanging out with my parents and my extended family this week. So I can guarantee I am much warmer than you. I played golf yesterday. It was great. It was 65 degrees. So sorry to everybody. I will be home on Thursday, though. So I am preparing myself to be brutal reality coming. I do want to ask you one thing, though, Vinny. I think I saw something on that phone app, the Instagram, of you and your in-laws all in matching shirts. What can you give us a backstory there?
Oh, these Kuiper women, they drive you nuts, and they always got something up their sleeve because, my wife was like, I really like this green flannel. I think you should wear it over to my parents' Christmas party. I'm like, yeah, I think it's a nice shirt. I'm not a huge flannel guy, but she's like, should we go with the medium or the large? They really work the details here to get you going on these pranks. So I'm
But
like,
does your
I'll try
wife
the large.
always dress you, though? Is this like kind of a normal course for you?
You know what? No, but I always ask her advice, and she does not shy away from giving me her very opinionated opinions, one way or the other. And so
Yes.
I like that about it, because you know what? She'll tell me if something looks terrible, but then I always trust that something looks good. So
Right.
anyway, but good question. So with this green flannel, I showed up at Mr. and Mrs. Kuiper's house, her mom and dad, and lo and behold, Mr. Kuiper, Grandpa Papa, we call him, had a green flannel on, the exact same one that Maggie bought for me. I'm like, what is going on? I'm getting a little fishy at this point. I think they planned this at this point. Then Cody, my other brother-in-law, so my wife Maggie's sister Paula, her husband Cody, shows up with the exact same green flannel, and of course, obviously the fix is in. And then the little brother Ricky, Maggie, Paula, and Emily's little brother, Ricky, shows up with the green flannel. They got us. It was actually Ricky's girlfriend's idea, Alondra. It was her idea to do this, and it was probably the best prank they pulled on us. They pulled some pretty good ones over the years. We'll get into some of those as the show keeps going here, especially during the lockout. We might get into some of these pranks, but they got us.
That was a good one.
Just gotta tip your cap at some point, right, Dom?
I love that. That's fantastic. That's a family right there, man. We all wear our matching pajamas for Christmas. So we got extended family in Tucson, made the drive down. So some original Tucson Toros employees. If you're a real minor league diehard, you know about the Tucson Toros. But that's our Christmas. I'm here in the Valley. We just hang out with family.
I saw some really
lots of
food on your Instagram.
I'm Italian and Mexican, so Christmas we go all out, man. This is our Super Bowl. So Christmas Eve is the Feast of Seven Fishes. If you are not familiar, it's an Italian tradition. 7 fishes, different. You can have a whole sorts of things. We had everything. We had clam linguine, Chilean sea bass, crab legs, shrimp. We made our own calamari, which was an amazing experience.
Wow.
Really, really good. And then we made like a crab cake, but instead of crab, we used salmon. And it was really fun. And then, of course, Christmas Day being Mexican, tamales. So it was awesome. But that was our holiday. Hope everybody else had an amazing holiday as well. And as we approach 2022, which is shocking that this Monday, of course, today is the final Monday of the 2021 year. Thank God it's the last Monday because it's been a hell of a year, obviously. Yeah. But let's get on a brighter note here. Let's talk about some Brewers and let's talk about specifically Corbin Burnes. And we both saw this from MLB trade rumors this week, Vinny, but perhaps a extension could be in the works for Corbin Burnes. You can go into a little more of the details here on it too, but one, do you think this makes sense right now? And what do you think this would look like?
You know, it'd be pure speculation to kind of formulate what the years and the dollar amount per year would be on my part. I would go pretty big here, and I'll tell you why. Look, you always want to be careful with pitchers, right? I think you and I have talked about this in the past where you kind of want to be careful with pitching just because there's, one Tommy John surgery away or one tweak of the elbow or one, tweak of the shoulder. The shoulder is really the thing that you want to watch out for, and these guys have trouble coming back from. But one tweak there, and the contract's kind of, not a great signing if you do extend pitchers that deep. But with Corbin Burnes, I would go deep on him. I would go into so he's 28 this year. He's going to be 28 this year. I would go 35, 36, age 35, 36 season. So what are you looking at? You're looking at an 8-year deal, and he's going to command upwards of 25, 30 million. So, I would go that big on him. And the reason being is because everything that I've heard about this kid's makeup is been spot on. When I was scouting, I had the Brewers as a pro scout for the Texas Rangers. I had to cover every single player in the Brewers minor league system. I did my homework on this kid. I did my homework on all these guys, but I really dug deep on Corbin Burnes, and what you found out was this guy had makeup that was off the charts. So what does that mean? Makeup means this guy's going to go above and beyond. He's going to go the extra mile. He's got the mental game, and we saw all that on display this year, that he totally transformed himself into a guy that was kind of a thrower, didn't really know where the ball was going, into now a pitcher with elite stuff. And I think that's just going to continue. I think he's going to continue to take care of his body. I think he's going to do everything he has to do to maintain the level of performance that he maintained or that he showcased this year. And I think that's going to continue well into his 30s. He's going to defy the age curve. You do see that from some of these power pitchers like Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander just got, what did he get? 2 years, $50 million deal.
He's going to be team option. Yeah.
42 when that's done, or 41 or 42 when that's done. So that's why I would go deep on Burnes with the extension. But we'll see what happens. Again, this is purely, I haven't heard anything about, I read the trade rumors article and they were just kind of speculating the same thing. I think it's fun to speculate here. I think also, though, the Brewers are setting up their franchise to basically be perennial playoff contenders every single year if you have Corbin Burnes on your roster. Dom, what do you think?
I think you're not really in a rush right now. From a team perspective, it's easy to pay a guy, say, hey, you just, we'd love to keep you around. But also for Corbin Burnes' perspective, it's, you got to go get what you're worth. And being a Cy Young Award winner certainly makes it a little more expensive for him, which is a good thing for him. Absolutely. He deserves every penny he's got coming his way. What I think about is 8 years is a long time for pitchers, especially right now. I don't see any pitcher really signing an 8-year deal anytime in the future. I think it's just too many years from a team perspective. Something more like 4 or 5 years, 6 years, because you don't want to have yourself anchored to dead money on a team that maybe isn't contending in a couple of years. I'm not saying that's going to happen with the Brewers immediately, but what I'm saying is that these teams that have mega amounts of money chained to a pitcher on a team that maybe isn't competitive, it makes it hard to, maybe trade that guy eventually down the road because, you have all this money in a guy that maybe A, isn't performing at the level that he had originally signed for, or B, is quite frankly going to a cash strapped team, even though they have a need. So there's a lot of things that can handcuff you with a long-term extension. However, on the flip side of that, it's Corbin freaking Burnes. You'd love to keep him and love to hang on to him. He is still, I'd love to see him do it again. We saw it in flashes in 2020. He goes and wins a Cy Young. I'm not saying he has to go win a Cy Young again in 2022, but this dude was the worst pitcher in baseball in 2019. So there is hesitation, I would imagine, from a front office perspective saying, hey, look, you had an amazing year and a third plus. Okay. Can we see it over 2 years? Can we see it over 2.5 years? And then talk to me, because he's just getting ready to head into arbitration. There's no need to rush this. Remember, when Jacob deGrom signed his extension, granted, I'm not saying Corbin Burnes is Jacob deGrom. DeGrom was heading into his last year of arbitration. So it's not like he was going to be a free agent that following year. They just wanted to get it done and knock it out. So that's where I stand on this. I'd love to see it happen. I don't think it's going to happen this offseason. Lockout aside, I don't think it would happen this offseason. There's not exactly a rush to do it. Would you agree?
No, I mean the points you're making are totally valid. I'm more speaking of a wishful fan more than anything, of just like, I want this guy locked up for a long time, just because I do think this is sustainable of what he did this last year. So I do want to see it again. I'm very confident that we will see that again in years to come from Corbin Burnes.
I think we all would love to see that again. So,
yeah.
Well, I mean, again, it was just a report. It's not like, they're grinding out on a contract details. Right. Obviously, we're in a lockout. That's not happening. What we're saying is this is our mailbag version of our question to ourselves of saying, what if you signed Corbin Burnes? What would it look like? And I agree with you. I think it would be somewhere in the $25 million a year annual. I would see 4 years with a 15 option right now if I was the one signing him personally. So boom, that's $100 million guaranteed. And then a fifth option would probably have a more of a vested $32, $34 million type value if the team decides to bring back. Something like that is what I'd expect to see. If he earns it and shows that he's the best pitcher in baseball again next year, he's easily going to be going over $200 million in my opinion. So that's something to look out for. And maybe new terms in the CBA will either inhibit or actually, promote him getting more money in the future. So shout out to Corbin Burnes. Go get your money, man. Speaking of getting yours and getting what you really want this holiday season, we got to talk about our friends at Built Bar. Of course, Christmas has come and gone. We want to make sure you get what you actually wanted. You can go to built.com and use our promo code LOCKED15 to get the most delicious and the best of both worlds protein bar, low in calorie, sugar, carbs, and fat, and it's high in protein. It's Built Bar. So again, goes LOCKED15 on built.com. That promo code will get you 15% off your order. Built Bar is going to give you that extra fuel with so many flavors. You've got raspberry, mint brownie, cherry, double chocolate, cookies and cream, peanut butter brownie. I tell you what, like playing golf today, I would have loved to have a Built Bar out there. It would have got me going. I think it would have kept me in the loop. It would have kept me sharp. Obviously, I'm a little rusty right now, but hey, I should have had a Built Bar. I should have been more prepared. So go to our friends, built.com, use promo code LOCKED15. You're going to get 15% off your order here this holiday season going to Built Bar.
Are you going to keep rubbing it in that you were golfing and while it was 20 degrees here?
Hey, did you hear? I played golf with my dad yesterday, and I'm actually going to be playing golf a little bit later today, actually, since this is Monday, of course.
Yeah.
I got to get it in while I can, man. Simulator golf can only hold me over so long. For folks watching on YouTube, no free ads, but you may recognize this logo if you're a real diehard golf fan. My friends at No Laying Up helped me out with this hoodie, so
nice.
They're good guys. Anyway, let's get to the mailbag questions here, shall we, Vinny? We got a couple of good questions. Obviously, holidays. Appreciate anybody sending in a couple of questions here as you're hanging out with your family. We got a tweet from Phil, and I want to get this one out of the way rather quickly. Paul DeJong to Milwaukee. Who says no? The entire infield, and I say no. I don't know about you, Vinny.
I like Paul DeJong. I think he had a down year. I think there's some injury things that happen. I think that he's also tried to tweak some things with his swing a little bit too much. think he's one of those guys. I think he probably needs to go back and simplify what he was doing back in 2017 and 18. But I like Paul DeJong. I don't know where he would fit. I mean, I think it would be an insurance option at third base. Obviously, if Urias doesn't have the year he had last year, and if he struggles defensively at third base, I think there could be a fit there. What would in any of these questions, I always say, okay, what would it cost, right? So I would entertain it. I would certainly entertain it. The Brewers would find a way to get him in the lineup somehow and kind of play musical chairs. But it is a right-handed third baseman at this point. That's where he would fit, or I guess first platoon, or perhaps
he's only
play
played
some
up the middle his whole career as
Right.
well. That's something to keep in mind. But the thing with Paul DeJong too is he signed a very team friendly, but also guaranteed himself some security extension as soon as he made his big league debut in 2018. He debuted in 2017 with the Cardinals, but in 2018 he signed a 6-year deal worth $26 million with 2 team options on the end of that deal. So he's under guaranteed control through the 2025 season, and he's got 2 team options coming up after that, or I should say he's under guaranteed control through next year and through 2023, and he's got team options in 24 and 25. So he's still owed another almost almost the entirety of that money is owed to him at the back end of this contract. He's making $6 million this year. He's making $9 million next year. And then if those options exercise, he's making 12 and 15 million. So there is a significant financial investment if you wanted to get Paul DeJong versus a guy like Luis Urias, who is still under team control until 2025. And that's going through all of DeJong's option years. And Urias is only arbitration eligible for the first time in 2023. So there's not really a rush to get Paul DeJong.
There's not a rush, but again, I think the Brewers would entertain the idea. These deals do get creative too, Dom. I mean, if the Cardinals are really motivated to get rid of Paul DeJong, they could take on some money as well, and then almost like pay for another additional prospect in the deal type of thing. I think it's entertaining for me. I do think that there's some performance and some good performance left in there. I've always liked this guy. I mean, he's just been a performer ever since he signed with the Cardinals as a 4th-round draft pick back in 2015, I believe it was. So
shout out to the Sycamores. Shout out to Indiana State.
Illinois State, right?
Indiana
State.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
you're right. Illinois State. I misread it because you know what? I was watching Hoosiers last night. That's why I was locked in on Indiana. So Indiana State came into my head. I was thinking of Sean Mania too. I was looking at his baseball reference page the other day too.
Yeah, no, easy to probably confuse those two schools anyway. But there's actually quite a few big leaguers that come from Indiana State as well. Yeah, so
both schools.
Yeah, right. So, but yeah, that's my take on Paul DeJong. Him, I would entertain it.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you for the question. Another one, I thought this was a lot of fun. This one was from Nick, and I think he kind of misphrased it in the tweet, but I want to try to translate it. If you could have a current Brewer on a past team or a past Brewer on the current team, who would you choose? And also, it doesn't necessarily need to be a Brewer on the past team. Who would you want to see on the current team? My answer is very, very easy. I want Prince Fielder on this team right now if I could. You need a first baseman. You need some power. And Prince Fielder seems like the easiest answer to me. I mean, shoot. I was looking back. Obviously, he's on the Hall of Fame ballot this year. I was looking back at his 7-year peak there, 2007 through 2013. He had 255 homers. He only missed 1 game for 5 straight years. He was the second most homers in the bigs, only behind Miguel Cabrera, and that was at the peak of his powers. He had a 930 OPS over those games. He was one of the best players in baseball, bar none, between the Brewers and the Tigers right before he went to the Rangers before that. That didn't really work out for him. But those 2007 to 2013 Prince Fielder, I'd love him on the current Milwaukee Brewers. I don't know about you.
I mean, yeah. So I would have picked, Robin Yount, someone to.
Yeah, I was assuming.
Yeah, right.
We're not picking Hall of Famers.
Right. No, so I'm gonna kind of tweak my answer and kind of support you because look, I played with Prince very briefly when I got called up to the big leagues, and my goodness, this guy not only was a performer, but this guy was a champion. He wasn't you consider guys winners, but this guy was a champion, and he was not real media friendly either. So a lot of people didn't really get to know the real Prince Fielder. Man, this guy was a winner. Not only he was a champion. Literally, this guy wanted to win so bad, and he was such a great teammate. Kept it loose in the clubhouse, despite again the persona that he portrayed in the media, that he was this kind of like real quiet, reserved, kind of a hard competitor type. Man, no, this guy he kept it light. He was one of the funniest guys I've ever met, just in life in general. But man, he was some kind of competitor. He wanted to win so bad. He was intense between the lines. But my goodness, could he hit? And he was not just a power hitter. He could hit. He had such a short swing. I'm telling you, 18 years old, my first spring training, I saw Prince Fielder at he was, like I said, 18. I was 23. I wasn't 18. But it was my first spring training. Saw Prince Fielder hit a ball out to dead center field at Maryvale, and he comes back and he was talking to me about it, and he's like, man, I didn't really quite get. I'm like, Prince, I've never seen anyone do that. What you just did, you just hit a line drive out to dead center. And he was like this baby face kid, 18 years old. I mean, so much talent, so much, and he was a good athlete, despite the body wasn't in the greatest shape all the time. Man, this guy would curl 80-pound dumbbells. I'm telling you, this guy was one of the most talented players I've ever seen. But yeah, that's a really good call by you, Dom. I agree, Prince Fielder.
I think you would fit on this team immediately, right now.
Yeah.
It'd be an absolute perfect fit. So shout out to Prince. I don't think he's really going to make it in the Hall of Fame, unfortunately. Career too short. Real tough blow with the neck injury there with the Rangers. That really stunk to watch from afar. But we wish Prince and his family all the best because, man, great memories in Milwaukee, obviously. I will never forget the earthquake walk-off celebration. That was the best. Nothing's ever going to top that. Nothing ever will top that. So, yeah, exactly. Before we get to our last couple of questions here, we want to talk about our friends at BetOnline. We're almost at the end of the year. Plenty more holiday sports happening right now. College football bowls, as many as are left, I guess, at this point, are still happening. Also, you've got pro football playoffs on the way. Packers continue to roll. How about the thumping that the Cowboys put on last night on Washington? That was something. Also, Joe Burrow went off yesterday. So you could have bet on all this stuff on BetOnline. It's your number one spot for sports action all season long. You can go to their website and you get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. You're going to get the promo code Locked On to receive your bonus. Again, Locked On, all one word, and you're going to get a 50% welcome bonus. You've got basketball, football, NHL, boxing, you name it, they've got it. You can take advantage of all the amazing offers on BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. So don't wait, take advantage. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, our last couple of questions here, Vinny, before we get out of here on a shortened edition of this Monday Mailbag Holiday Edition. This is a question I actually got in my DMs from Sam, who sent me this, and I was really intrigued by this question. What would a Josh Hader package look like? When do you sell, and what would be the required return? Does it happen anytime soon? So let's start with the basics here. Josh Hader is still under team control for 2 years. Okay. He's in his second year of arbitration. He is projected to make $10 million, according to Baseball Trade Rumors arbitration tracker. He is the best closer in baseball, bar none, but he is also on a very much wide open window contending World Series team right now. You would never trade him this offseason. I would be absolutely shocked unless they fully believe Devin Williams would be ready to be the closer, which I think this past playoff showed is not quite ready because, well, we all know what happened with the broken hand. So he needs a little bit more time to understand the role and see what happens. So this hypothetical happens in a vacuum. If it was me, I am not trading him this year. I'm not even trading him until at the earliest next offseason, but that would still have to drastically change your window. I don't think the window would be closed in the 2023 season either. So that's something I need to get out of the way first. I would not be trading him because you have a legitimate chance to make it to a World Series with him on your roster under team control. With that being said, I think this would be a massive haul You've evaluated talent, Vinny. You've seen the minor league talent. You understand when there's a big fish in the water right around trade deadline time, or if somebody's allegedly available. What is a team assigning a scout to say we're going for the cream of the crop? What is a trade like that prepare to bring in from a team?
You need multiple top 5 prospects in the system, and you need them to be close to big league ready in order to make that return look, smart. I mean, because I'm with you. I've said this for a while now. I think Josh Hader is off the table in terms of a trade, in terms of a package.
I agree.
And yeah, I mean, they need him to win the World Series. Let's say they didn't have Josh Hader. They would be trying to acquire Josh Hader to win the World Series. So you've got him, unless, again, David Stearns and Matt Arnold have pulled moves off that don't make a lot of sense at the time, but then they always seem to work out. So let's say they did trade Josh Hader, it would probably work out, right? Just because whatever they do seems to turn to gold. So I'd say no. I would say he's untouchable because you need him.
Now, I want to do a hypothetical just to entertain this real quick. 2016, Aroldis Chapman was traded from the Yankees to the Cubs in the Cubs World Series run, of course. He was the best closer in baseball at the time, and it was 4 players in the deal. 2 minor leaguers that never really made it out of the minors. Art Warren, a very serviceable reliever. He's pitched for several teams. He hasn't pitched in the last 2 years, actually, but he did his job and was a big piece for that trade. And of course, the headline of that trade was Gleyber Torres. So 2 big leaguers and 2 minor leaguers that didn't really work out. And that was for Aroldis Chapman, who was going to be a free agent that offseason. Of course, we all know after he won the World Series with the Cubs, he went right back to the Yankees. So my point is this: in a hypothetical situation, if for some reason, let's say it's a different universe and the Brewers are not contending this year and they have Josh Hader available to trade with 2 years of control as the best closer in baseball, you are surpassing that haul that the Yankees received from the Cubs for Aroldis Chapman. And one team that came in mind for me personally, if this was hypothetical this coming year, was the Texas Rangers, actually, because they're now going into a win now mode. They have prospects to trade and they have some big league talent to trade. And I'm going to be completely honest. And my name, and this is again hypothetical. This is not happening. Don't put this on me. My name would be Josh Hader. I need at least Jack Leiter coming back. I need your first pick from this past year coming back, because this is the best closer in baseball. I need your number 1 prospect. I need a couple big leaguers, maybe Josh Young even too, who's supposed to be their third baseman of the future. I need your best prospects. This is Josh Hader we're talking about. He deserves that kind of respect, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. He does. So that's the point. You need close to big league ready prospects, and you need the top, at least one of the top 3, probably 2 out of the top 5.
Right.
In order to make a deal.
Teams
work.
don't make these deals anymore.
Right.
That's the biggest thing to remember of this. These deals don't happen anymore. Prospects are actually considered very cool these days. No more the saying prospects are cool, banners are cooler. It's not quite the same. No one's going to blow up an organization just for one guy. It just doesn't happen anymore. The teams are so much smarter. There's so much information out there. It doesn't happen that easy. So I want to get to our last, a little more lighthearted question. I thought that was a fun question to entertain, but I don't think Josh Hader is getting traded anytime soon. This is a more lighthearted question from one of our regulars here as well. What made you fall in love with the game? This is from Erica. Vinny, I want you to take this because this I think is going to be a great answer from you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know what made me fall in love with the game ever since I was a little guy. My goodness, I loved playing ball. My parents would always tell stories about me chasing the ball around at age 2 years old. Just couldn't get enough of just baseball and playing with balls. And that's what I mean. Ever since I could hit, I could always hit. Right, I was just born being able to barrel up the baseball, and in Little League, I would hit home runs.
Nice. Jeez, must be nice.
I didn't know any different. I was like, why can't everyone just hit? Why can't everyone just put a barrel on the ball? But and then that's when it's really fun too, right? When you're pretty good at it and you're just kind of like not even knowing why you're good at it. But then what made me fall in love with it is as you continue to grind through the challenges of the game, I think the mastery part of it, you never figure it out, but you're always striving to figure it out. And that's what I loved about it the most. That's what I loved about it the most. The grind, the everyday grind, the failing, and then trying to figure it out, even though you never will. That's what I loved about it, and that's kind of what I teach the kids that I work with in the winters. Is like, look, this game is never going to be figured out, but just keep going and keep trying to figure it out, and keep trying to work and continue to improve your game. And it's like a labor of love, really, and that's what I love most about it, to be honest. And I continue to love that part of it, right? Because now I was on the scouting side, and that's the same exact thing. Now I'm on the broadcasting side, and it's very, very similar to that feeling. And so that's what I love about it. But Dom, I'm interested in your answer as well, because my goodness, you obviously love the game very, very much too. And what keeps you coming back?
For me, have had a very lucky upbringing to be, I've seen big league games since I was born, practically. So I've been in big league press boxes, I've been in big league clubhouses, I've been in big league dugouts, on the field. I've been in it my entire life, thanks to my dad and in the Oakland A's, Texas Rangers, Houston Astros, and my various teams in my baseball career. But I'll always remember, sitting between my dad and Eric Nadel with the Texas Rangers back in the day, just sitting in the booth, watching the game, and listening to Eric or my dad call the game. And maybe I notice something and they're talking about something different. Then I go and notice that. And then they go back and talk about something else. That there's so many nuances to this beautiful game that there's always something to notice or to talk about. It is a talking game. It's a talking sport. And that there's always something to say, hey, did you notice how up the middle Willie was playing on that ground ball? Or, hey, did you see how Yelich took that 2-0 fastball? I was like, why would you take a 2-0 fastball? Because clearly he's maybe sitting on a slider or whatever. I love those nuances. I love getting into the nitty gritty and talking to players about, that little next level stuff that maybe it never even gets onto the air, but just trying to understand the game at a different level for the guys that are playing between lines. Because look, you played at the big leagues. I played JV. Okay, man. Like I'm not going to be ever able to say I get what you're saying kind of thing, but I want to try to get into the minds of athletes and understand the nuances and the amazing strategy that goes into this amazing game. And that's what I love about this. Everybody notices something different on a baseball field. There's 9 guys out there positioned very specifically. A coach can tell a guy to move 2 steps, and it turns out to be the difference. I think that's just so, so cool. And those are the things that me, being a stats nerd, love to find out with StatCast and find positioning and find batter tendencies, things like that. I love the game within the game before pitches even thrown. I think that's amazing.
I want to piggyback real quick off what you just said, because here's the thing. Here's what I've noticed in being part of this game professionally for the last almost 20 years now, is that you do not have to have played to have feel for this game of what you're just talking about. Feel for talking about the little nuances, because I'm with you. I love doing that. That's one of my favorite things to do, is just talk baseball. I don't care if I'm sitting on my couch or sitting in a dugout, in a major league dugout, or in a broadcast booth. That is the most fun thing for me, and you do not have to have played to have feel for that. And I will talk to anybody, doesn't matter who you are, if you do have feel and display feel, and you certainly do, Dom. And that's the most fun thing for me in this game, and I love doing that.
I agree. That's a great question from Erica. We appreciate it. And that's a great way to close out our Mailbag Monday here in this short week. A reminder again here as we move on with the end of this episode, that 3-episode week again this week. Look, it's the holidays, New Year's at the end of the week. So we're planning on a Tuesday episode. More to come on that in a moment. And then we'll also do our Throwback Thursday series. So we'll be taking Wednesday and Friday off again this week as well. That's the plan as of now. Things change holiday week. Again, I'm in a different state right now, so we're trying to figure things out too. So one thing also, we want to thank everybody for liking, subscribing, rating, whatever it may be. Like us on Apple Podcasts. It really does go a long way. Give us a good rating. Give us 5 stars. And if you give us 1 star, I get it. You're a Cardinals fan, but it's all good. So what we want to say is thank you to everybody in this happy holiday season. As we get ready to head into the new year, we got a lot of stuff planned for you. It's a little tough, obviously, in a lockout right now, but we really think the best is yet to come for us. So this should be a whole lot of fun. So we do want to thank you for making us your first listen, Locked On Brewers, every single day. So with that, that's the end of our episode. Go make your second listen Locked On Bets, of course, as we always say. That's our boys. That's your boy Q and also Lee Sterling. It's a one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. It's free and it's available on all platforms. So real quick, Vinny, do you have any New Year's resolutions, by the way?
None that I've thought of right now. I will think of one though. Yeah, no. How about you?
No,
Tell me.
no, I think I'm perfect. I'm kidding. We'll figure something out. Probably just trying to be a little more organized, I think is the everybody. That's kind of an evergreen one, if you will.
Yeah.
But we got a lot more to come. We should have an Interrogation Tuesday up tomorrow. Be locked on our Twitter for that. Remember, follow us on Twitter, Locked On Brewers, or our individual accounts, Vinny Rottino, Dom_Cotroneo. That's Vinny. I'm Dom. Thanks so much for listening on this Mailbag Monday, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.